Hi, I'm Lisa. Welcome to my garden. You know I have glass everywhere in my house, in my yard, in my life. I mean, everywhere. So I wanted to share with you this beautiful bench that I have out here in my garden. I actually made this project for a Glass Patterns Quarterly Glass Patterns Quarterly article for their summer edition a couple of years ago. And I have it right out here in my garden. Beautiful shady spot. And I wanted to share with you some insight into using stencils and how they can really transform ordinary pieces into really exciting artwork. So come on over here and take a close look at this. Check it out. So here I've got a series of, so this is a big oval shaped bench. It's a piece of concrete that we purchased, and then I applied glass tile to the top and grouted between the tile. So what you see here are the different pieces. Rather than doing one big piece, which truthfully, one big piece of glass on something like this is not really the best way to go, because the cement, during different seasonal changes, or if it's in the sun or in the shade or if it's cold, it can change shape a little bit, and that glass will break. So better to have smaller pieces. That way there's a little more flexibility between the glass and the cement in the event that there's some shifting of, temperature change, shifting of size and shape because of that. So smaller pieces are a better way to go. Plus, if something breaks, it's easy to chip it off, with a knife or a spatula, and then replace it without having to, without damaging the entire bench. Just replace that one piece. All right, so let me show you some of the designs we have here. This is a sun stencil. So there's white on the bottom. This is about an 8-inch square. White on the bottom, and then clear on top. Between the white and the clear, I did this purple frit here. I did some orange frit here with kind of a gradient. Over here, I did a stencil with these dots. Then the clear goes on top of that. Then on top of that, I did these spirals with a soft pink and the sun with orange and yellow on top. So the cool thing about this design is we're creating design and adding design elements between layers and on top of layers to get a three-dimensional quality. It's really fun. Over here, I used like a kind of a spiral stencil here, that same one with the dots. So the bottom, the white piece of glass, and I use white because it's high contrast and the colors show up nicely on it and they show true to color. So the bottom has the yellow, the blue, the purple. Then the second layer has the moon, these dots, and this detail right here. This one over here, it has the dots on the bottom. Look, there's a little bit of a fern shape here. There's this pretty pattern here. Then the clear goes on top. Then this is paint, and then this is cut glass on top. So you get this wonderful shadow between the top glass and the bottom because there's clear in between them. Over here I've got blue on the bottom and the fern on top, fern design. These are leaf shapes, and I did some stencils on the bottom layer and on the top layer. Now these are not white, that's a red, a green, and a purple there. Over here I have white on the bottom. This is black paint on top of the white. Actually, the paint is on the back of the clear layer. So the bottom layer has sifted green in leaf shape. See that leaf shape right there? Isn't that cool? So it's soft greens, powder frit on the bottom, then the paint on the back side of the clear, then the flower petals and leaves are on the top layer. See that wonderful shadow you get between the pink and the green below? That's because there's that clear in between them. And then here, this is just white with green stenciled on it, and then some paint on top. Over here, got a nice little flower design. These are dichroic squares I had left over from a project, a mosaic that I didn't use up, so they were just kind of hanging around the studio. Now they have a wonderful purpose and place out here. This one's kind of a repeat of the other one with the flower. This is kind of a repeat, but a little different than the other side. So I wanted to show you, you can combine different stencil shapes and store-bought stencils and ones that you cut all by yourself. So you can get any size, shape, design that you want. So this sunshine, I used this stencil right here. Oh, let me hold these others, get these others out of the way. I used this stencil right here for the sunshine, and I used this one for the moon. And there's another size and shape for the moon. I bought these at your craft store. Here's a pretty cloud, some stars. You put it on top and you sift powder frit over the top and then carefully pull it away and you get that wonderful design. So that's one of them. This flower is one of my little daisy designs. It's not actually in this project, but you can see the daisies are cut out of glass and used on there. So this one, I put the design on a piece of white paper on like copy paper, print it out, I glue it to poster board. It could be cardstock. In this case, it happens to be a manila envelope that we use in a file folder, you know. Glue it on top, and then I use a very sharp X-Acto knife and cut through both the paper and the file folder material at the same time, and I get this wonderful stencil. Now, if you treat these kindly and put them in a folder in a filing cabinet, you can use these over and over again forever and ever. Matter of fact, a lot of these stencils here are ones I've used on multiple projects. So just treat them carefully, and you can use them over and over. So that's another one. This design, oops, dropped some. This design was from something I called my club shirt. I bought this shirt. I loved the pattern. I never wore it to a club. Matter of fact, I don't even know if I ever wore the shirt, but I loved the design. So I brought the design out into my studio, and I copied the essence of it and put it on this poster board, this file folder material. And this is the design that you see right here on the background there. See how lovely that is? Let's see, do I have it going the right way? Yeah, right there. Look at that. Oops. Maybe it goes that way. I don't know. Maybe it goes this way. Maybe it goes this way. There we are. That's it right there. And you can see that design and how pretty that is on the bottom there. So that one's a little more elaborate, and because it's a little thin here, you know, you have to really treat these carefully in order to get multiple uses out of them. But I'm sure you can do that. This one is a stencil that years ago, I don't know if it's still available, was something available through Bullseye Glass. And is basically, I don't really know what it is. It's paper, stiff paper, but it does make a nice stencil. Now, it can be very busy, but I didn't use it in big areas. I kind of used parts of it. So if you look over here, you can see that I used it. Oh boy. I used it here for the dots. I used it here just a little bit. I used it here, here, and over here. And didn't that make a nice stencil? So I did it a yellow and orange combination, and I did kind of a gradient where the frit would kind of get soft, stronger on the edge, and get softer as it moved into the glass. So that one is really fun. Now you could make one of these yourself with a paper punch if you wanted to. But you can. Now this, I used to make these coffee cups. Oops, all my stencils are getting stuck together. I used to make coffee cups for galleries. And this was a stencil I used to make the background of the coffee cup design a little more exciting. So those designs were 8 inches by 8 inches, so this is an 8-inch stencil. It's on, folder material. And I took a paper punch that you buy at the, the craft section, the scrapbooking section. It had this wonderful spiral, because that's how I got these so uniform and all over the place. So I used that stencil to punch these out, and then I used this design. Let's see, I don't even know if oh yeah, I did, sure, right here. There's some of it right here. It's very faint. There's a couple, there's one here, here, and here. Right here, maybe you can see these better. See those little spirals? Oh, there you go, there's one. That's great, Nikki. She's pointing out the best ones. So you can see that added a nice touch. Let's see, went this way, yeah. Gosh, this is tricky. There we go, it went like that. You can see that stencil there. Isn't that pretty? And then, last but not least, I have this pretty fern stencil. And this I used in some gallery pieces also, where I wanted to make some things that had like a nice earthy kind of feel. And I used green frit on these on like an off-white glass. It was really very lovely. So you can see this design over here and here in part. It's over here as well, right there and there. So let's see if this matches that. Might have been, yeah, there we go. That one goes right there. See that? And see, look, there's some fern on the bottom layer, so it's blues, and a fern down there, and then another set of ferns on the top layer. So let me pull those out. All right, so what I wanted to share with you is that you can either buy stencils ready-made if they have designs that you like, or you can very easily make your own from drawings, or you could take a sticker and put it on there, trace around that, cut that out. But you can really add a lot of different design elements and incorporate some really exciting things to your work very quick and easily. Now I use a sifter, a spoon, and powder frit for the stencils because it works really nicely. You want to put on a layer that's thick enough to get good color, but not so thick that when you pull the stencil away that it spreads and bleeds and you don't get that nice detail between the intricate pieces of your stencil. So real easy to use, fun, fast, great way to introduce kids to fusing if you'd like to. Definitely wear a dust mask when you're working with it and don't have the fan on and work in an area where there's not a lot of wind so it's not airborne. And I also will apply the frit. I put my glass on a piece of paper and then at the end I can just roll that paper up and clean up that powder material very quickly and easily without making it airborne and without having to use a bench brush. And also then if you use a single color, like if you just use a green, you can actually fold that paper and put it back in the container and reclaim it, which is always wonderful too. So stencils, great way to incorporate a lot of design and detail. Also a great way to do lettering. If you wanted to write something, you could buy a stencil that says whatever the message is, or you could create your own. Like you could write, welcome fall. You could write welcome for a little sign to go inside your house. You could write a happy birthday and make a plate that you put out for whenever it's someone's birthday, they could have their cake or their cupcake or their snack, their cookie on that particular plate. That would be really nice. So a great way to add intricate detail, lettering, color to your pieces. Now my recommendations are use powder material, not fine. It won't go through the sifter well. Use high contrast colors. I frequently will do the base layer in white and then clear because the colors will show up best, the strongest on white. If you have a bone, an off-white, a lavender, the colors aren't going to show up as well, it'll be a little softer. Also, work with a gradient. Have that color gradually change from yellow to orange or red to blue or something to make it more interesting. When you're working with powder, it's the one time you have the opportunity to have those gradients that we otherwise don't have in fused glass. A lot of times we're working with either a yellow or a red or a blue. If you can go from yellow to orange to blue, that's really exciting. So do that. Or dark green to light green. Do that. Use a gradient. Another suggestion, make sure you put enough for it to get good coverage, but not so much that when you lift that stencil that it smears and it spreads. If that does happen, dump the frit and go and do it again. Don't tolerate stinky, messy work. Redo it. You can put that frit back in the jar and reapply it. You can also just take a piece of clear glass, a piece of scrap white, lay it down and practice with your stencil a few times so you get the sense and the feel of how much material works well for you. You could also do a little sample, fire it, and make sure you like the coloring. A lot of times when I put frit down, I'm disappointed it wasn't enough color. So that's why I use really high contrast, a dark green with a light green, a red, orange, yellow, a deep blue as opposed to a light blue. So try to work with those nice, harsh, stronger colors. Also, let's see, make sure you wear your dust mask. That's also important. And experiment, have fun, and use, a variety of different designs and stencils together. When I did this project, it was a little overwhelming because it was kind of big, but I made it smaller by doing small individual pieces. A few of them are repeats, so I did it twice, just moved it around the bench. So working small like that makes it more manageable and fun. And this way you can do a test piece. If you love it, great. Use what you learned to that one and repeat it on the pieces that you're actually going to keep and really enjoy. So I have a bunch of previous videos on stenciling with frit, so go ahead and check those out. One of my most popular videos is doing fall leaves in a variety of colors, and you'll really get a sense of how I use gradients in that and how beautiful it is. So please check out that video and some of my others. Thank you so much for following us and watching today. Thanks for joining us. I know you have a lot of things you could do with your time, so we appreciate you being here with us. So please like, follow, subscribe, comment. We love it when you do that. We get notifications when you do that, and it helps us and encourages us and lets us know that you're out there, you're watching, and you're enjoying what we're presenting to you. And we're here for you, of course. Become a premium video member. We'd love to have you. We have new courses coming out all the time. Full-length, step-by-step video course, plus a pattern ebook with images, firing guides, material list, full-size pattern, everything you need to complete those projects. So become a premium video member today. And until next time, happy fusing.